Yu-jin stares at her computer screen, watching the cursor blink in the empty cell of an Excel spreadsheet. The numbers should be going here, quarterly revenue projections for the Hanwha account. But her brain has turned to static. White noise where calculations should be. Around her, the office hums with its usual Thursday afternoon energy. Keyboards clicking in staccato rhythm. The photocopier whirring 3 desks over. Someone laughing too loud at something on their phone. The omnipresent smell of coffee brewing in the break room, bitter and dark. She's been staring at this same cell for 6 minutes. She knows because the digital clock in the corner of her screen taunts her with each passing minute. 2:47, 2:48, 2:49. Her phone sits face down on her desk. Silent. No messages since this morning. Min-woo texted at 7:30 a.m., "Good morning. Hope you slept well." She'd responded, "Morning. You too." And then nothing. For 9 hours. Nothing. Which is fine. Normal. They're at work. They have jobs that require focus and professionalism. They can't be texting constantly like teenagers, sending memes and heart emojis and play-by-play updates of their days. Except they usually do text. Little things throughout the day. The coffee machine is broken again, and I might not survive. Director Beck just said my analysis was adequate, which I think means he liked it. Convenience store for lunch? The one with the good kimbap. The absence of those messages sits heavy in Yu-jin's chest, a weight she can't quite name. Her phone had rung last night at 9:17. Min-woo, keeping his promise to call. Yu-jin had been on her couch, still in her work clothes, a glass of wine half finished on the coffee table. She'd answered on the 3rd ring. Hey. His voice had sounded careful, measured, like he was reading from a script. How was your day? It was okay. Long. Yours. Fine. Busy. The conversation had felt like walking on ice. Each word tested before being spoken, each pause stretched too long. Yu-jin had tried to inject warmth into her voice, had asked about his presentation prep, had laughed at his description of Sung-ho spilling coffee all over his notes. But underneath the surface pleasantries, something had been wrong. She'd heard it in the spaces between his words, in the way he'd answer questions without asking new ones, in the careful neutrality of his tone. So, she'd said finally, because someone had to address it. I met with Jun-suk yesterday. Silence on the other end. Then, I know. You mentioned you would. It went fine. We talked. Got closure. It was good to clear the air. Good. That's good. The word good, repeated 3 times in 10 seconds. Each one landing flat, hollow. Min-woo. Yu-jin had started, then stopped. What was she supposed to say? That meeting Jun-suk had felt like looking at a life she'd walked away from and confirming she'd made the right choice. That sitting across from her ex had only made her more certain about the person currently on the phone. The one who said good like he didn't believe it? I'm tired, Min-woo had said before she could find the words. Can we talk tomorrow? At work? Sure. Yeah. Get some rest. You too. The call had ended. Yu-jin had sat on her couch, phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the dial tone until it became a flat beep. Then she'd finished the wine, taken a too-hot shower, and laid in bed staring at her ceiling until sleep finally dragged her under around 2 a.m. Now, it's 2:51 p.m. and Min-woo hasn't texted and Yu-jin can't focus on revenue projections because her entire body feels wrong. Skin too tight. Heart beating slightly off rhythm. The sensation of standing on the edge of something she can't see. Her phone buzzes. She flips it over too fast, eager and pathetic. Dayo, lunch tomorrow. I have wedding cake drama to discuss. Not Min-woo. Of course not Min-woo. Yu-jin types back. Yes. I need to get out of my head. Doon's response is immediate. Oh, what happened? Nothing. Everything. I don't know. Tell you tomorrow. 3 dots appear, pulse, disappear. Then, you okay? The question sits on Yu-jin's screen, deceptively simple. Is she okay? She doesn't know how to answer that. Movement in her peripheral vision. Yu-jin looks up, and her heart does a stupid leap because Min-woo is walking past her desk. Dark slacks, white button down, glasses slightly crooked on his face the way they always get by afternoon. He's carrying a folder, heading toward the conference room. He glances her way. Their eyes meet for a fraction of a second, and then he looks away, keeps walking, like she's just another colleague, just another person occupying space in the office. The weight in Yu-jin's chest gets heavier. She stands abruptly. Her chair rolls backward, hitting the desk behind her with a soft thump. The analyst sitting there looks up, startled, but Yu-jin is already moving. She catches Min-woo just before he reaches the conference room. "Hey," she keeps her voice low, casual, professional. "Do you have a minute?" Min-woo turns. His expression is carefully neutral, the one he uses with clients when he's presenting bad news and trying to soften the blow. "I have a meeting in 3 minutes. This won't take long." She gestures toward the small alcove by the windows, the spot where people go to take personal calls or hide from Director Beck. Min-woo hesitates, then follows. The alcove smells like old coffee and the lingering ghost of someone's lunch. Outside the window, Seoul spreads in all directions. Gray buildings under a grayer sky. The promised rain hasn't started yet, but the air feels thick with it. Yu-jin crosses her arms, then uncrosses them. She's never been nervous around Min-woo before. Even in the beginning, when they were just starting the lessons, when everything was awkward and new, she'd felt confident, in control. Now she feels like she's navigating without a map. "Are we okay?" The question comes out more vulnerable than she intended. Min-woo adjusts his glasses. A tell. He does it when he's buying time to think. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean." Yu-jin keeps her voice quiet, aware of the open office just beyond the alcove. "You've been different. Since yesterday. Since I told you about meeting Jun-suk. I'm not different, but he won't quite meet her eyes. I'm just busy. We have the latte pitch next week and the Hanwha follow-up. And Min-woo." He stops, finally looks at her properly. And there's something in his expression that makes Yu-jin's stomach drop. Not anger. Anger she could handle. This is worse. This is resignation. The look of someone who's already made a decision and is just waiting for the right moment to execute it. "Did something happen?" she asks. Her throat feels tight. "Did I do something wrong?" "No, nothing. You met with your ex to get closure. That's healthy, mature. I support that." The words are right, but the delivery is all wrong. Too rehearsed, too careful. Then why does it feel like you're pulling away? Min-woo is quiet for a long moment. Outside, the first drops of rain start to fall, dotting the window with gray spots that blur the city beyond. "Whatever this is," the phrase lands like a slap. "What do you mean, whatever this is? You asked me to be your girlfriend. I said yes. That's what this is." I know I did." He runs a hand through his hair, messing it up further. "But maybe that was too fast. Maybe we got caught up in something without thinking it through properly." Yu-jin's hands curl into fists at her sides. She recognizes this. This is what she does. The pulling back, the creating distance, the careful dismantling of something before it can hurt you. She's done it a dozen times with a dozen different people. Seeing it reflected back at her feels like looking in a mirror and not liking what she sees. "Is this about Jun-suk?" she asks. "Because I told you that meeting was just..." "It's not about him." Min-woo cuts her off, but gently. Always gentle. "It's about me. About whether I'm ready for this. Whether I know what I'm doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. That's the whole point." "You do." He smiles, but there's no warmth in it. "You've always known. You're good at this, at relationships, at dating, at making people feel special. I'm the one who needed lessons, who had to be taught how to hold hands and make conversation and all the things that should come naturally. That's not." Yu-jin starts, but Min-woo is already pulling back, physically and emotionally, creating space between them. "I should get to my meeting," he says. "We could talk about this later, when we're not at work." When Yu-jin hears the desperation in her own voice and hates it. "When will we talk about it?" "I don't know. Soon. I just need some time to think." He walks away. Yu-jin watches him go, watches him disappear into the conference room where Sung-ho and 2 junior analysts are already waiting. Through the glass walls, she can see him take a seat, open his folder, become the competent team leader Kong who never fumbles, never doubts, never shows the cracks. She stands in the alcove for another minute, watching rain streak down the window. Her reflection stares back at her, ghostly and uncertain. This is her fault. She knows it's her fault. Meeting Jun Suk wasn't wrong, but maybe the way she handled it was. Maybe she should have invited Min Woo. Should have been more transparent. Should have done something to reassure him instead of assuming he'd just trust her. Or maybe this was always going to happen. Maybe they were always going to hit this wall. The moment when the lesson stopped being enough, when practice had to become real, and neither of them knew how to make that leap. Yu-jin returns to her desk. The cursor still blinks in the empty cell. The numbers still need entering. She picks up her phone, types, "I don't want to slow down. I want to figure this out. With you." Her thumb hovers over send. Inside the conference room, Min Woo is presenting something, gesturing at a slide on the screen. Professional, competent, completely unreachable. Yu-jin deletes the message. Starts over. Take whatever time you need. She sends it before she can change her mind. Watches the delivered notification appear. Then she turns back to her spreadsheet and forces herself to focus on numbers that suddenly mean nothing at all.